There is a moment in every violent crime where the world quietly splits in two, before and after. On December 30th, 2025, that moment came for a quiet neighborhood in Columbus, Ohio. Behind closed doors of a family home, one decorated for the holidays, one filled with children's toys, one that should have represented safety, two people were executed. Not in a robbery gone wrong, not in a random act of violence, but in what investigators believe was something far more chilling. A calculated act, a personal act, an act born not in rage alone, but in obsession. Tonight, we're telling the story of Spencer and Monique Tepe, a couple whose lives were cut short while their children slept nearby. This is a story about love rebuilt after trauma, about a past that never truly stayed buried, and about how sometimes the most dangerous thing isn't a stranger in the dark, it's someone who already knows your name. Because in this case, investigators believe the killer didn't break into the home, he walked in. Before we talk about how they died, we need to talk about how they lived. Spencer Tepe was a dentist. By all accounts, he was methodical, calm, dependable, the kind of person patients trusted instinctively. He worked long hours, he showed up, he built a stable life brick by brick. Monique Tepe, formerly Monique Sabatersky, had already lived through something much harder. She had survived a previous marriage that friends would later describe as controlling, volatile, and emotionally abusive. When Monique met Spencer, people close to her noticed a change. She smiled more, she laughed more, she slept better. Together, they built a family, 2 young children, a home in Columbus, routines that felt safe. But safety, as this case would prove, can be an illusion. Before Spencer, there was Michael David McKee, a vascular surgeon, highly educated, respected professionally. But behind closed doors, according to court documents and witness statements, something darker existed. Friends say Monique described Michael as possessive, that he believed she still belonged to him, even years after their divorce. There were alleged threats, statements that made people uncomfortable, comments that at that time felt disturbing, but not yet dangerous. One witness would later tell investigators that Michael once said something chilling: "I could kill her anytime I want." At the time, it was brushed off. After all, people say things in anger. Until one day, someone actually does it. In the days leading up to December 30th, Monique reportedly felt uneasy. Friends would later say she seemed distracted, on edge. There were rumors of sightings, a familiar vehicle, a feeling she couldn't shake, the kind of feeling you ignore until it's too late. On the night of December 29th, the house went quiet. 2 adults asleep, 2 children in their rooms, a dog resting nearby. What happened next unfolded in silence. No screams reported, no forced entry detected, just gunshots in the dark. When Spencer didn't show up for work the next morning, concern grew. Calls went unanswered, messages unread. Police were dispatched for a welfare check. What they found inside the home would haunt everyone involved. Spencer and Monique were both dead, shot multiple times. Their children were still inside the house, alive, unharmed, sleeping through the worst moment of their lives. Detectives quickly ruled out random violence. Nothing stolen, no signs of struggle at entry points. Instead, surveillance told a different story. A vehicle arriving, leaving, tracked across state lines, license plate readers, traffic cameras, timestamps that lined up too perfectly to ignore. The name at the center of it all? Michael David McKee. On January 10th, 2026, Michael McKee was arrested in Illinois, charged with multiple counts of aggravated murder. Prosecutors described the killings as planned, methodical, and deliberate. McKee pleaded not guilty, but the evidence, according to investigators, was overwhelming. 2 children lost both parents in a single night. A family erased. A future rewritten. The case isn't just about who pulled the trigger. It's about what happens when the obsession goes unchecked, when warnings are ignored, when the past refuses to stay buried. Spencer and Monique Tepe should still be here, but they aren't, and their story serves as a reminder that danger doesn't always knock. Sometimes it remembers where you live. If this story moved you, if it disturbed you, if it made you think, please like, subscribe, and share this video. Not for the algorithm, but so stories like this aren't forgotten. Because silence is what violence thrives on, and awareness is the first step towards prevention. Good night.